Okay, so in this video, we are going to be talking about how to configure the settings for thaw, pull, and for tempering. So our freezer items and our fridge items. And they're both pretty much the same in how you set them up. It just depends on the products that you're using. So we're going to talk about them both. Alright, so first things first is we have our build to segments and our preview time. And what does that mean? So we have the segments are the times that you, throughout the day, are going to be pulling product from the freezer. So we have 9 a.m., 2 p.m., and 7 p.m. So at 9 a.m., they don't have anything configured at the moment. And 2 p.m., they have reg bun, quarter bun, you know, pretty much the whole kit and caboodle here out of the freezer. So if you wanted to add a new one, you could click New, and say if you wanted something to get pulled at 7 p.m., right? So you create, and it would also add that. So I'm going to delete that one right now because I don't know exactly what they're doing. Yes, I do want to delete it. And then we're going to go back to either, so let's go to 7 a.m. because I just added that one right before I turned on the video here. So preview time is 15 minutes, so that means that this thaw pull is going to start showing up at 6:45 a.m. so that they know at 7 o'clock they have to do this. And just like with the bake monitor, for example, it's going to ask you to pull everything that you need so that it's ready for a certain time frame. You know, if it's ready in 5 hours, if it's ready in 12 hours, however long it takes to pull. So you're going to set up those settings when you add products. So let's add at 7 a.m. let's have them pull, I don't know, Big Mac buns and I don't know. Okay, we'll do that, right? So here we have Big Mac buns, so we already have settings up here. So we have the thaw time, so you get this from your pocket quality reference guide. How long does it take to thaw? It takes about 4 hours before you can use it. Secondary shelf life is in hours, so it's good for 48 hours after it's pulled from the freezer. And we pull it by the case, aka the rack. You're not going to want to pull Mac buns, you know, each individually. That would be a disaster. You just pull them by the case. And the buffer is about 5%, so it's going to add an extra 5% on there in case you sell a couple extra Big Macs today. And so you just want to make sure that you have that set up correctly, and you're good to go. So for premium buns, let's say that they take 6 hours. Secondary shelf life is also 48. And we're going to pull them by the sleeve, and we're going to do a buffer of 0% because it's not a product we actually sell. And then you could add whatever else you want. And if you want to delete something, we can delete it here. So then at 9 a.m., they have nothing set up for that yet. But at 2 p.m., they have a bunch of stuff set up. So burritos, it takes 24 hours to thaw. It's good for 72 hours, so 3 days. After it comes out of the freezer, they are doing a buffer of 10%, and they're pulling it by the bag. So you can pull it by the case. That would be a lot of burritos. You could pull it by a sleeve. So that is, you know, pretty much a bag at this point. So 24 burritos is what's going to calculate that. Each and bag. So we just leave this on bag because it's a bag. That's kind of how it's done. And then folded eggs. So same 24 hours, 72 hour shelf life. We're going to pull them by the sleeve. And then bacon we're going to pull by the sleeve as well. So you just want to make sure that all of these things are correct. So bacon is good for 10 days out of the freezer once you pull it. And so that is your 240 hours here. So it's 24-hour thaw time and 240 hours shelf life. And they have pulled by the sleeve and a 0% buffer there. And so you just want to make sure that all of these settings are correct, and that you pull them. So if you want to stagger, if you want to pull buns at 9 a.m. and you also want to pull them at 4 p.m., you could have the buns at both times, and it'll just have you pull less in the morning because you're doing it twice rather than pulling at, if you're doing thaw pull at 2 p.m., you're going to be, and that's the only time you're pulling buns, it's going to ask you to pull the buns, all the buns that you're going to need for the 24 hours after the thaw pull time. So, because that's when they're going to be ready. So how many reg buns are you going to need at from 6 p.m. today until 6 p.m. tomorrow? It's going to ask you to pull all of that. And so if you don't want to do that many buns out at one time, you can set up, okay, I want to pull them at 9 a.m., 2 p.m., and 7 p.m., or whatever you want to do. So whatever is your kind of how you operate in your restaurant is how you want to set this up. But you also don't want to be pulling so that you have a bunch of stuff out at one time, especially if you have a smaller restaurant and you can't fit 24 hours worth of buns on your thaw racks. So that is another consideration here, is how much room do you have to pull things when you're setting this up. Okay. And so this, just like the bake monitor, needs to go on each individual day. So if you're going to do thaw pull the same time every single day, you can just copy to other days. And you can also just copy, and then, you know, if you just want to change your Saturday, instead of 2 p.m., it's going to be 4 p.m. or something like that. You can just do that as well, so that most of it's copied, but not all of it. It just makes it a little bit easier. So when you have all that set up, make sure you have all your products that come out of the freezer on there. And for instance, I don't see hotcakes on here, so we want to make sure that hotcakes are on here when they come out, so you know how much you have to pull. And then tempering is the same kind of concept, so these work exactly the same way. Copy the same days, how often it's going to show up, and at what time you want to do it. But this is for your fridge, so you have your sauces for the table, your butter quarters. You can do cheese on here. In fact, you should be doing cheese for tempering anyway, and anything like that. So it's going to set up the same way. So for butter quarters, this is good. So temper time is 0 hours because we microwave it. So we're going to pull by the stick. So a sleeve would be one single box, like with the 4 sticks in it, and then stick, we have it on auto, and we have a 0% buffer. So it's going to ask you to set up so many, so you can have the extra ones in the back, like in the fridge, ready to go to be microwaved, and then you have the ones that you're currently using. And then we also have the spicy pepper sauce going on, so this is also where you would put your, we just had the smoky BLT sauce, and we're going to get rid of that, and we're going to do the new crispy chicken, the ranch sauce that's coming out should be on here as well. So you want to make sure that those things are set up just like back in the day when you would do the R2D2 charts, and you'd have to set up when new products came in and out of the restaurant. So you're doing the same thing there. And then you just want to make sure you're pulling by pouch, that the tempering, how long it needs to temper before it can be put on a sandwich. And once again, you can get all of that from your pocket quality reference guide. And so now, if you've watched all the videos in this series, we've done the UHC, we've done the projection days, the UHC settings, the fry settings, bake monitor settings, thaw pull, and tempering. And once you're happy with all of that on all of your days, then you would go to finalize settings, and you can save your configuration so it stays in here the way you have it set up. And then you're going to activate the configuration, and this automatically reboots your production monitors, your e-production monitors in the restaurant, and they'll pop back up in about 2-3 minutes with the new configuration that you've set up. So if you, pro tip, if you're setting up things for fish on Fridays, you can come in here, you know, before 10 o'clock on a Friday and change your fish settings for your projection days like we talked about, and then hit activate, and it'll be fine for that Friday. You just want to make sure you don't copy to every day, because you don't want to change your fish projections and your fish product mixes for Sunday if people are ordering regular meat on Sundays and not just fish. All right, well, thank you. Hopefully this series has been helpful. If you'd like to see anything else about e-production, please let me know. Text or email, or Leanne is your subject matter expert. You can let her know as well. And good luck.